all right. Welcome, everybody. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. Today, we're going to be talking about a lot of great things. And as you know, today we're going to talk about the 4 steps to financial freedom, right? And it's important for us to learn some of the fundamentals in order to acquire what is known as financial freedom. So if you're somebody that's looking to become financially free, you want to learn some of the fundamentals of how to create that stronger financial foundation, then you're in the right spot today, because today that's what we're going to be talking about, right? We're going to be covering things about how to make that happen for you and what are some of the steps that you need to take that will put you and your family in a position to become that person. So before I get started, just a little background about myself. I want to give you guys some background. So I want to welcome you guys to class today. All right, so give me a second here. All right, so welcome to class. And for your educator for today, my name is Keyon Corniffe. Some of you guys probably know me as Mr. Finance. And just to give you a little background about me, I joined this campaign in 2012. And in 2012, at that very same year, I gained custody of my son. His name is Keyon Corniffe Jr. And in that very same year, let's just say that everything that I wanted to go right all went wrong. And because of that, I had to, continue working my jobs. And I was working 3 jobs. I was working from 3:45 in the morning to 11:30 at night. And I was doing that already for about almost 5 years until now, when I got introduced to the campaign by a cousin of mine who told me to come check this thing out. Now, like most of you guys, when you go to certain things, you're very skeptical, and I was one of them. I don't know if it's because I'm Jamaican or what, but I was very skeptical. I didn't know if this was legit. I didn't know what they were really trying to do, and I didn't, quite understand everything. But I continued, and as I transitioned, as you can see here, I transitioned from the guy on the left to the guy on the right, and it kind of like was a transformation for both me and my son at the time. And those decisions put me in a position where now I like to do a lot of great things for fun. I like to read for fun nowadays. I like to travel, and this is a picture of when I was able to go to Hawaii. And I also love to spend time with my kids. That's some of the things I like to do for fun, right? And thank God for the literacy program that gave me the opportunity to do that. I also love to spend time with my fiance. Those are some of the things I like to do for fun. I love spending time with my business partners and folks that's out here that's trying to change lives, like what I'm doing today for you, right? I also love to, things that motivate me. I like my mom. My mother's my biggest motivation, just for the simple fact that she taught me everything that I know about being not only a father, but also be a great entrepreneur. And some of these things that the person I am today is because of her. And that's the reason why I continue to push and strive in this campaign and to help many more people along the way. So just a little bit of history about who we are as a company, right? So our parent company is called Aegon, A-E-G-O-N. And Aegon is pretty much based in the Netherlands. They've been around since 1844. And one of the things that Aegon wanted to do is that they wanted to make a presence in North America. So they bought a company called Transamerica, which now serves as our financial department. Transamerica has been around since 1904, founded by a gentleman named A.P. Giannini, the same gentleman that created Bank of America. And because of this, it put many of us in a position today where Transamerica have helped many people. World Financial Group serves as our financial our marketing and distribution division. And through that division, we represent over 70 plus financial companies out there. So we're talking about companies like the Prudentials, the Nationwide, the Voyas, the Gerbers, just to name a few of them. And as you know, the division that I'm a part of is called World System Builder, and pretty much World System Builder is our educational division where we focus on our national campaign for financial literacy, which was launched in 2015, where we came out with a mission and said that we're going to educate 1 million people by the year 2020. We hit that goal May 30th of this year, and since then we launched a new goal, and our new mission and our new focus is 30 by 30, where we said that financial literacy campaign is not just about educating. See, financial education isn't an option, guys. It's actually a necessity. And that's why we think it's necessary that everybody learn about finance. That's why World System Builder is committed to educating and empowering 30 million people by the year 2030. All right, 30 million. That's our goal. That's our focus. And we want you to be one of them. So the reason why we're doing this is because of 3 major concerns that you and your family will face today, right? Your family is going to face what's known as a retirement crisis, where many of you could retire, but you won't be able to stay retired. Your family will also face what's known as an education crisis, where many of you can go to college, but you will finish college with a lot of debt. And your family will also face what's known as a spending crisis, where many of you make good money, but you spend more than you make. And as you can see, our country is a great example of that, where one of the richest country in the world, but yet still we're in $27+ trillion in debt. Go to the usdebtclock.org for you to see how much debt we have. So that's the reason why our national campaign focuses on teaching families finance 101. And when we sit down with families, we teach them strategies of how to start saving their future. We show them how some of the basic principles of how to build a stronger financial foundation on a one-on-one basis. We also help families to understand that, hey, how can they learn more? So we introduce them to our financial foundation educational program where they get access to our workbook. So today I'm going to talk about these two programs and how we're helping families with these two programs and how we're able to change the world by educating people with two simple books. So that's the reason why today, the question that many people ask, right? Why? Why your company doing what they do? Why we do what we do? Well, it was according to a survey that was conducted, and it said that North Americans, right, are facing serious financial challenges. Now, there's challenges happening in Canada, and there's challenges happening here in the U.S. But did you know, compared to Canada, they said that the U.S., the picture is even gloomier. Think about this, right? Canada is in better position than the U.S. They said that 33% or more than 77 million Americans don't pay their bills on time. They said that 39% carry credit card debt from month to month, and only 59% of adults say they have savings. They said worse, more than half now think it's acceptable to default on their mortgage if they can't afford to pay it. That's the numbers where it is today. So that's the reason why today it's important that every family learn 4 things, guys. It's 4 things that every family must learn how to do. Write this down. Number 1, you got to learn how to make more money. You got to learn how to make more money. You got to increase your source of income. And number 2, you got to learn how to save more money. You got to learn where to save your money. Okay? These are the things that you got to learn. And number 3, you got to learn how to grow your money. And in order for you to grow your money, you got to understand where to save and invest your money. You got to know how to grow it. And number 4, you got to learn how to protect your money. You got to know who you got to protect it from and why you got to protect it and how to protect your money. These are the fundamentals that we're going to teach you, these 4 things. Now, in order for that to work for you and your family, you got to understand 2 things, right? You got to have a goal and you got to have a plan. You got to have a financial goal and you got to have a financial plan. But the problem is that, what is the goal, right? Many people say, oh, my goal is to become debt free. Oh, my goal is to do this. But it can't be just simply debt free. You got to have a financial foundation that you got to create. So the goal is that everybody got to create a financial foundation. So in order for you to create a strong financial foundation, you got to understand about protection. You got to learn how to put together protection. And putting together your protection requires you to understand that there's 3 major events that's going to take place in your life, right? 3 major events. There's the event that you're going to have disability, you're going to have health problems, and you may encounter what's called premature death. So if you're going to plan for these 3 events that's going to happen in your life, how do you put things in place? Now, the first thing you got to put in place and put proper protection in for is against premature death. What are the 4 things you need to have in place? Number 1, write this down. Number 1, you got to have life insurance. You got to have life insurance. Number 2, you got to have final expense insurance. Number 3, you got to have what's called a will. And number 4, you got to have a trust. These are the 4 things you need to have put in place if you prematurely die or before you prematurely die, right? So that way your family can have proper protection, so that way things could be in order, so that way things don't disappear. The next thing is when it comes to your health problems, you got to know the difference between having a HMO and a PPO health insurance. You got to know the difference between the two, because many people would think that you have a HMO, but you may have a PPO. Or you may have a PPO and you think it's a HMO. So you got to know the difference between the two. What are some of the benefits that they give you? What are some of the disadvantages? And what are some of the advantages of having 2 things, right? So these things will help you to understand. Now, when it comes to disability, you got to have what's known as long-term care. Why do you need long-term care? Is because the fact that if you can't perform 2 daily acts of living, like you can't feed yourself, clothe yourself, you can't transport yourself, you can't bathe yourself, you may need some assistance to come in and help you with that. So that's the reason why long-term care plays a major role in that scenario. So that's why you want to look into that and having those protection. So at the end of the day, protection is the first thing that you got to do in order to create your financial foundation. And it's very important for you to do as well. Now, the next thing that we help you to do to create a stronger financial foundation, we help you to do what's called debt management. You got to learn how to manage your debt. Now, you got to learn how to reduce your liability and get out of debt as soon as possible. But in order for you to do that, most people take two wrong routes that could actually hurt their credit. Many people will go down a route where they say, hey, I'm going to use debt consolidation, or they're going to use bankruptcy. And these two events can hurt your credit score very bad, and you don't want to go down that route. So that's why we teach you how to use a debt roll-up program, and we show you how to pay off your debt and actually build up your credit at the same time, because that's even more important as well. The next thing we're going to teach you is how to create an emergency fund. Because when it comes to your emergency fund, you need to have at least 3 to 6 months of your income put to the side or saved up for emergencies, right? Because when emergencies happen, we don't know when we're going to have to repair the car. We don't know when we got to repair the boiler in the house. We don't know when the roof maybe need to change. You don't know. Emergency happens out of nowhere, but you got to make sure that you have that emergency fund. How many of us was planning for a pandemic to happen to us this year? Many of us didn't plan for a coronavirus to come and happen to our country, but did you have the emergency fund in place to deal with us 6 months without going to work? Right? So these are the things that we got to plan for, the unexpected moments. So 3 to 6 months. But in order for you to be good at putting together your emergency fund, you got to learn how to live on a budget. So that's why we teach families how to live on a budget. We show you a very simple budgeting formula, so that way you can know how to budget yourself. Now, the next thing we teach you is about investments. Now, it's important for every family to learn how to invest their money, because when it comes to investment, you got to save and invest for the long run. But in order for you to save and invest for the long run, guess what you got to do? You got to put yourself in a position where you understand your risk tolerance, and you got to understand also your tax tolerance. You got to know how you're going to be taxed on your investments. You got to understand how to invest. What kind of investor are you? Are you an aggressive investor? Are you a moderate investor? Are you a moderate growth investor? Are you a conservative investor? And how do you want your investments to be taxed when you need your money? Do you want your money to be taxed now? Do you want to get taxed later? Or you want to get taxed never? You got to understand these fundamentals in order to be a better investor, right? So these are the things that is important to create a strong financial foundation. And if you're going to create a strong financial foundation, you got to put all these tasks and have them done as soon as possible. So that's the reason why we help families to create a strong financial foundation, and that's the goal. Now, with every great goal, like I mentioned, it requires a plan. So the plan is to make sure that every family understands how money works. Every family's got to understand how money works. And in order for you to understand how money works, you got to understand what is the wealth formula. Now, the wealth formula pretty much serves as a guide in order for you to build wealth. Because when you're ready to start saving and investing your money, you got to put yourself in a position where you understand the wealth formula. You see, wealthy people learn the wealth formula. They know the wealth formula, and that's the reason why they stay wealthy. Even if you take their wealth away, they could build it right back because they understand the fundamentals of how to do so. So that's the reason why we got to understand how money works. Many people today still do not understand how money works. As a matter of fact, the thing that you very much call money is not even money. It's called currency. So you got to understand how currency work, right? Because it's not even really money. It haven't been money since 1971 when they took us off the gold standards. Okay, so you got to understand the difference between that. But let's jump right back into the wealth formula. Now, the wealth formula requires you to understand a few things about money, right? You got to understand how money plus time plus or minus rate of return minus inflation minus tax that equals wealth. I'll say it again. In order for you to understand the wealth formula, you got to understand why it says money plus time plus or minus rate of return minus inflation minus tax, and how does that equal wealth? That's what I'm going to break down for you today, because until you understand that, you can't understand money. Now, money talk. Warren Buffett, did you know one of the wealthiest men in the world, Warren Buffett, advised that don't save what is left after spending, but you must spend what is left after saving. The issue is that many of us don't do that. We do the opposite. We spend first and then we save later. And if you're doing that, you're already losing the money game. So that's the reason why you got to understand these fundamentals. Now let me break down some more game for you. Did you know, in order for you to understand the wealth formula, I'm going to break it down for you today. We're going to break down money. We're going to break down time. We're going to break down rate of return. We're going to break down inflation. We're going to break down tax. And we're going to talk about understanding all of these fundamentals help you to build wealth. So the first thing, the money. How do you find the money? In order for you to find the money, you got to buy. Let me tell you something. You got to put yourself in a position where you pay yourself first. Okay? You got to pay yourself first. If you're not paying yourself first, then you're losing the money game, guys. I hate to tell you the truth, but if you're not paying yourself first, you're losing the money game. You got to put yourself in a position where you pay yourself first. See, you got to set aside at least 5 to 10% of your income to save for the future. If possible, save 15% or more. You got to treat yourself like a bill that you must pay and pay it first, because that's your family's financial bill. Now, doesn't it make sense to pay your family first before you pay other people's bills? Is your cable TV more important than your family's financial well-being? Right? I will hope not. And that's why you got to buy only what you need. You got to learn how to buy only what you need, because these small changes, if you're able to make these small changes, it will result in big money for you and your family, right? Because look at this. Did you know that spending is a habit, but so is saving? And what if you could make small changes to your spending habits? Just start saving $10 a day. Just saving $10 a day will result in $300 that you're able to save on a monthly basis. If you're able to save $300 a month, right? If you're able to save $300 a month and then get an average of 8% in over a 30-year period, you'll have $447,000+ 30 years from now. What if you were able to save $600 a month, $20 a day? If you're able to save $20 a day, got an 8% in over a 30-year period, you have $894,000+. So what you got to realize is that time is money. But procrastination is also the enemy of savings. The more you put off to save today, it will hurt you for tomorrow, because what you don't save today means that you got to save double the amount later on tomorrow in order to catch up. Because let me tell you something, the next thing we're going to talk about is why time is money and procrastination is the enemy of your savings. Because you got to understand why it says compound interest. Why is rate of return? Now, on the wealth formula, it talks about plus or minus rate of return. Why? It's because the magic of compound interest. Did you know that one of the most important discovery in finance is something called the rule of 72? And the reason why it is such a way is because the fact that the rule of 72 is a calculator that helps you to determine how many years it takes for your money to double for you or against you. So let me break it down for you. Imagine that you are willing to invest your money, and you was able to find 3 places where you can invest your money, right? You was able to find 3 places where you can invest your money, and you could get an average return of about 4%, 8%, and 12%. Now imagine that you're 29 years old, right? And you're willing to invest your $10,000 one time. You're ready to retire at 65. So from 29 to 65, you're getting 4% interest on your $10,000. So that means you're going to do the rule of 72. 72 divided by 4 equals 18. Your money will be doubled every 18 years. So your $10,000 at 29 will only grow to $40,000 at the age of 65. Now that's not enough. What if you was able to get 8%? 72 divided by 8 equals 9. Your money doubling every 9 years. So from 29 to 65, your $10,000 would have grew to $160,000. What if you was able to get 12%? 72 divided by 12 equals 6. Your money doubling every 6 years. So from 29 to 65, your $10,000 would have grew to $640,000. You see, if you're not earning 8% or better on your money, then you're not even in the money game. If you're not even in a position where you're earning 8% or better compounded interest on your money, you're not even in the money game. Because there's 2 kinds of people in this world, guys, and I want you to think about which one are you. There's 2 kinds of people in this world. There's people that understand how money works and they learn how to make money work for them. But there's people that don't understand how money works and they keep working for money. The question is, which are you and which one you want to become? That's why we're here to teach you how to make money work for you by understanding compound interest. Now, the next thing you got to understand, if you don't start learning about compound interest and learning how interest work, then let me tell you something, inflation is going to be your enemy. Inflation will become your enemy because inflation is a silent killer. Okay? Inflation is a silent killer. If you don't know what inflation is, let me tell you what inflation is. Inflation is pretty much the rise in price of goods and services over time. Okay? Now, the way inflation works is that when you, let's say that when the price increase, right? It means that your purchasing power decreases. So let me give you an example. Let's say that the inflation was at a 3.5%, right? And you have $100 today. That means next year when you buy something for $100, it won't be worth $100 because 3.5% means that you lost $3.50. So that means your money only worth now $96.50. Okay, the next year. So let me give you a better understanding. Inflation happens when a country prints more money than it actually earns. So the result is that everybody will lose some value of their money. That's why some people refer to inflation as a hidden tax system in our monetary system today. Did you know that in the last 100 years from 1914 to 2014, the US inflation rate averaged around 3.32%? Did you know that? And how many of you understood what that means? Now, let me give you a better understanding. Let me break it down in layman terms. Now, what does that mean for your money is this. Let's say that you plan to retire, right? And let's say that you wanted $4,000 coming into you in your retirement years. Did you know that? And you're making that decision based off today's value of things, right? Now, let's say that 20 years later, inflation was at 3%. It means that now 20 years later, when you're ready to retire, thinking that you only need $4,000 per month in order to live comfortably, no. At a 3% inflation rate now means that you need $7,224 per month to have the same purchasing power. The question is, are you ready for that? Are you planning for your retirement and your later years and your savings later to come? Are you planning for that inflation in the back of your mind? Are you thinking about the cost of living may go up later on? Are you thinking about that? Is that in the back of your head when you're planning for your retirement right now? And if not, you need to have it in the back of your head, because that's the reason why you got to also think about taxes. Remember what I talked about. You got to know your tax tolerance and you got to know your risk tolerance. Now, let me give you something, guys. Write this down. If you understand taxes, you will know where to save and invest your money. I'll say that again. If you understand taxes, you will know where to save and invest your money. I promise you. Because if you understand how, it's not about making money. It's about how it's going to be taxed when I need my money, right? Because you can't predict what taxes will be in the future. Just like you can't predict what the market will do. Remember, past performance it's not an indicator for future results. I don't care what something did in the past. It doesn't determine that it would be the same luck for me. All I care about is the tax part, because you can make money in anything, but it's how it's going to be taxed when I need my money. So that's why you got to understand the 3 ways that your money get taxed when you need it. It's either my money getting taxed now, it's either getting taxed later, or is it getting tax advantages? But the question is, which one are you? Where are you putting your money? Are you saving and investing your money where like 85% of the population is doing? 85% of the population is saving their money where they get taxed now, which is in their checking account, savings account, CDs, stocks, and mutual funds. 10% of the population is saving and investing their money where they get taxed later, which is in their 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, SEP IRAs, annuities, and pensions, right? And then you have only 5%. Only 5% of the population understand where to save and invest their money, where they put it in a tax advantage bracket, which is in their Roth IRAs or 529 college savings plans or municipal bonds or HSA, right? And then they also use like long-term care and life insurance. These vehicles give people tax advantages. Now, what does it all mean? What does it all mean to get taxed now? It means to get taxed later. Now, let's break it down. You see, to get taxed now, right? Let me break it down for you. Tax now means that any earnings from these accounts must pay tax for that year. Let me give an example. Any earnings from your savings account, certificates of deposit, CDs, any dividends from your stocks, mutual funds, and money market funds must report and pay tax. Did you know that? And then, let's talk about tax later. Listen to this. Tax later means that the money you put in is pre-tax, and pre-tax money deposited in an account is money that you have not yet paid income tax on, but you definitely be paying taxes on it later when you withdraw the money from your account. Tax later, right? These accounts are also called tax deferred. And in the U.S., tax deferred commonly take the form of like your IRAs, your 401ks, your 403bs, your 457s, your annuities, and pensions. Now, what are the rules? Listen to the rules now. So, in the U.S., when you begin to start taking your money out after 59 and a half, you will be taxed as ordinary income. Means that you're going to pay tax on every withdrawal moving forward after 59 and a half. Okay? Another thing that you got to understand, if you take the money before 59 and a half, you have to pay a 10% penalty in addition to paying taxes. Also, you can't keep your money there forever. You got to start taking it by your 70 and a half birthday, or you're going to lose 50% of your money because you failed to take out the required minimum distribution known as RMD. Okay? So now here's something that you understand. Due to the Secure Act that was passed in 2020, they moved the RMD age from 70 and a half to 72. The bad news is, did they do that for your 401ks? Did they do that for your IRAs? And it's important for you to go find out, did they move your RMD age from 70 and a half to 72? That's your homework. Now, let's jump into the tax advantage. How does tax advantage work? Now, this is where 5% of the population learn how not to pay taxes. Let me break it down. Now, tax advantages mean that you generally won't pay tax when you withdraw the money from your account. Tax advantage investment money is after tax money because you already pay taxes on it. So vehicles like a Roth IRA or a 529 college savings plan and life insurance, these are popular investment vehicles that get tax exempt distribution. Did you know that? Okay? Because at the end of the day, you got to think about, before or after. Should you pay taxes now or deferred later until when you get old? Or should you pay your taxes now and not worry about it in the future? The question that you really got to be asking yourself is, can you predict what taxes will be in the future? Can any one of you predict what taxes will be in the future? And if you cannot predict what taxes will be in the future, why not pay your taxes now when you know what taxes are, so that way later you can receive all your money and don't have to worry about taxes? That's a better plan. And that's why you got to understand taxes. That's why I tell you, if you understand taxes, you will know where to save and invest your money. So at the end of the day, guys, can you build wealth with this information? How many of you think you can build wealth with just something simple as taxes, right? I think everybody could build wealth if they have financial literacy. And that's the reason why I want to empower you. Because at the end of the day, retirement savings and wealth building is all a numbers game. It's a numbers game, guys. It's just about understanding numbers. And at the end of the day, that's why money plus time, plus or minus rate of return, minus inflation, minus tax, that equals wealth. As you look at the wealth formula, it shows you a guide to build wealth. The question is, do you want to be wealthy? Right? Because let me give you a game plan. Write this down. Number one, if you want to be wealthy, you got to create these new habits. All right? New habits you got to form. New habits. Number one, you got to spend less, save more. Okay? Spend less, save more. Number two, you got to invest your money long enough to allow the interest to compound and for the wealth to potentially build up. Number three, you got to make sure that the rate of return is very important. You got to pay attention to what interest you're getting on your money, and you got to pay attention to what interest you're getting against your money. Number four, you got to make sure that your money earns a rate of return which is higher than what inflation is. So you got to know what inflation is right now, and you got to make sure that the interest that you're earning on your money is more than what inflation is. Number five, you got to look for investment vehicles that have tax advantages. You got to look for investment vehicles that have tax advantages. And if you follow those steps 1 through 5, the result will equal into wealth for you and your family. That's why at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you can follow these step-by-step guides. So when building your future and making financial decisions, you should ask yourself these questions. And you got to ask these questions to any financial advisor, any financial professional, or anybody that want to come and talk to you about investing and saving money. You got to ask them these 4 questions. Number one, write this down. Number one, can it potentially grow to achieve my goal? That's the first question you got to ask them. Can wherever you tell me to put my money, can it potentially grow to achieve my goal? Number 2, is it safe enough? Number 3, does it have tax advantages? Number 4, does it have a proper protection? If they tell you yes to each of these questions, guys, you got to ask them back another question. You got to say how. That's your follow-up question. If it does not, you got to ask them why not. And if they tell you all of these things, you got to make sure that you know. Because if you don't have a good answer to each of these questions, then you're not likely moving in the right direction towards your goal. And if you're not moving right towards your goal, then that's why you will find out that growth may be good. But let me tell you something, managed growth is way better. You got to know how to manage your money. You got to become a money manager. How many of you want to learn how to become a money manager? How many of you want to learn how to control your money? Guys, this is why you come and learn. So you also got to learn the 10-20 formula. Why? Because knowing what you need is so important. Many people today do not know 2 things. They don't know how much life insurance they need, and they don't know how much they need for their retirement. And because you don't know these 2 things, you keep getting sold. You keep getting sold to by these so-called professionals, life insurance agents, and all these so-called people. Because you don't know how much you need for your retirement, and you don't know how much you need when it comes to life insurance, because no one didn't teach you the dime method, and no one didn't teach you what is your FIN number. If you knew these 2 things, you would have known what you need. Okay? So because those 2 things require a little bit more time than I have to give today, I'm going to teach you another thing. 10-20 formula. Write that down. You need to know the 10-20 formula. Now, what is the 10-20 formula? Let me break it down real quick for you. The 10-20 formula is this. The 10 in the 10-20 formula represent the amount of coverage that you must need on a minimum. If you didn't learn the dime method, bare minimum, you need to have at least 10 times your annual net income in life insurance protection. Meaning that if your net income is $50,000 a year, this is after taxes, right? Your net income for the year is $50,000, then you need to have $500,000 in protection. Okay? In life insurance protection. That could be in term, it could be in whole life, it could be in universal, it could be in VUL, it doesn't matter, right? You just got to make sure that you have that. But you got to make sure that you get the right life insurance for the right situation. That's a whole nother topic. The next thing, when it comes to the 20 and the 10-20 formula, this represents that you need at least 20 times your annual income saved up for retirement. Once again, if you make a net income of $50,000 a year, this means that you need to have 20 times that saved up for your retirement. So that means you would need to have at least $1 million saved up by the time you retire. So that way you can have $50,000 coming into you during retirement years, right? Bare minimum, bare minimum. So that's why the 10-20 formula is so simple for you to understand. And if you never learned the dime method and you never learned the fin number, that's the reason why we want to continue to teach you these things. So at the end of the day, is money controlling you or do you control your money? Think about that. Is money controlling you or do you control your money? Right? Because if you're not controlling your money, then guys, what's happening? It's easy to control your money if you learn how to create a financial foundation and if you understand the wealth formula. Okay? You can make money in anything. It doesn't matter what you use. So that's why with our financial foundation and our educational program, you're going to learn some of the following things, guys. Here's what you get to learn in our workshop and our coaching program. You're going to learn how to make money work better for you. You're going to find and save more money. You're going to understand investments and how to build wealth. You're going to learn how to protect and preserve your money. Doesn't that sound good so far? Here's another kicker. You're going to also get access to classes. You're going to get access to our workshop classes where you can learn how to increase your cash flow. You're going to learn how to build a strong financial foundation. You're going to learn how about asset accumulation. You're going to learn about retirement strategy. You're going to learn about debt management. You're going to learn about proper protection. You're going to learn about how to build wealth. You're going to learn about how to preserve wealth. Guys, these are all the things you're going to learn in our classes. And guess what? Our workshops, we do them right. And we do them with a lot of pride. And you want to know how much it costs you? Here's the kicker. You're probably waiting for it. Like, man, that's a lot of good stuff. How much is it going to cost me, Keyon? What's the catch? The catch is, the cost is, all you have to pay is that you got to pay attention. That's it. That's all you got to pay. You got to pay attention. That's all you got to pay when you get access to our workshop, our coaching program. You just got to pay attention. If you have the willingness to learn, if you want to learn how to make, save, grow, and protect your money, all you have to pay us is pay attention. That's it. No catch, no gimmicks. We're on a national campaign. We want to educate. You see the sign behind me? That's what it's all about. Our national campaign for financial literacy. We got to get to 30 million people educated by the year 2030. We want you to be one of them. So at the end of the day, guys, here's some of the services that we provide to you if you pay attention. Here's the first thing. We provide services in protection. Protection on your life, health, final expenses, personal, commercial, home, and auto. We can help you. We provide services in savings, in mutual funds, active managements, ETF, verbal contracts. We can help you. We provide services in debt reduction, debt reducing, building great saving habits. We can help you. We provide services in estate planning for your legacy, wills, trust, other legal documents like power of attorney, health directive. We can help you. We also can help you with our services with educational planning, savings, college coaching programs, 529s. We can help you. Retirement savings vehicles like IRAs, 401ks, annuities, pensions, profit sharing plans, SEP, or simple IRAs. We can help you if you're willing to pay attention. Guys, what we believe is that the right education will put you in a position to make the right solution for you and your family. We educate you first so that way you can make educational decisions and not an emotional one. How many of you have made emotional decisions and how did that pay you? How well did that pay you? How well did that pay your parents? How well did that pay your grandparents? It's time for you to start making educational decisions and become financially literate. Okay? And that's what we want to do. So all you have to do is pay attention. But the question is, are you ready to learn? So at the end of the day, what would you like to learn more about? What would you like to learn more about? Would you want to learn how to become a student where you get access to our classes and our coaching program? Or would you like to learn how to become a client Would you like to learn how to become a client? You want to learn how to create your financial foundation? You want to learn how to, use the wealth formula? You want to get access to the workshops and stuff? Or do you want to learn how to become an educator like me, right? You want to learn how you can educate yourself and your family and probably make some part-time income becoming an educator with us. Guys, once again, all you have to pay is pay attention, right? So please definitely get in touch. All right, I'm going to leave a link in the comment section of this video so that way you guys can do that. And for those folks online, you're going to get a personal email from the person I invite you, so that way you can also get access as well to all of the programs that we have to offer you. Now, if you want to get access to more, if you like everything that we talked about today, you want to have access to more, I do free coaching every 9 a.m. Eastern time. And we call it Money Talk with Mr. Finance. These calls are about 30 minutes long. If you want to have access to that, please get in touch with me as well. If you like the class that you attended today and you want to see it again, you want to come back again, you want to hear it again, you want to learn some more, you're more than welcome. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. Eastern time, we provide this very same class. If you like access to that, comment below and let us know that you want access to the 4-step. If you want to learn more about our company, our campaign, who we are as a company, what is that we're doing, why are we doing what we do, guys, every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 12 p.m., we offer our class. We call it our 7-step miracle, okay? Our 7 steps. So you get to learn more about our campaign through this. You get to learn about our overview. So we invite you to one of our campaigners' overview so you can learn some more. So always remember that, hey, guys, you're one decision away from changing your future for the better. So always remember that the choice is always yours. And like I said, I want to share with you some result of how many families we've educated so far. And since May 30th of 2020, we have educated now over 1.3 million people. So since May 30th, remember, we hit our 1 million May 30th of this year. But since May 30th till now, we now officially educated 319,427 people today, right now. And it's not even been a year yet. So guys, if you want to be a part of that personnel and get the education, come and learn. Remember, all you have to do is pay attention. So thank you guys. It was such a pleasure to be your educator for today. I hope you learned a lot. And I want to leave you with one more thing, just to let you guys know that, hey, do the right thing, pay attention, and change your family's life. All right, guys? So with that said, it was such a pleasure. Remember to put God first. And remember that you are awesome, we are awesome, and we can all become awesome. Have a blessed day, guys. See you guys at the top.